Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my February reading wrap up. I read 8 books in the month of February, which I feel really good about. But before hopping too far into it, if you're new here, hello, my name is Emily. This is MacInnis Mama, where you will find mostly bookish content. But let's dive right in. The first book I finished in the month of February was A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I did read this as a part of my Extending the Holiday Season reading vlog. I can link that in the cards if you missed it. I was just loving Christmas romances so much. I just wanted to keep reading it and keep that like fun, happy, festive feeling. And even if they weren't overly like Christmassy, like they all had just this vibe to them that it was just making me so happy. So yeah, even in February I was still reading holiday romances. I won't go too far into what this is about because I talked about it a lot in the reading vlog, but I gave it a 3.5 star. We have a washed up boy band member, Nolan, meets plus size porn star B. Turns out it's a dream come true for both of them because B pined after Nolan as a teen, having his posters all over her room, and Nolan is an avid fan of B's content. He has subscribed, like a paid subscription. It's kind of like OnlyFans. Both are cleaning up their image with a Hallmark-esque movie production, and it's set in a cute, snowy, Christmassy town in Vermont. It was so cute, but I just didn't love it. I loved all the representation and diversity in this book. There's LGBTQ plus rep by both of our My battery died mid-sentence. Both of our main characters are bisexual hot messes, as they like to call each other. It's sex positive, sex work positive, body positive, like all of the things. It was wholesome. It put a smile on my face, but it just wasn't my favorite. I next read Tangled in Tinsel by Trelina Pucci. I still feel so uncomfortable talking about smutty romances, which is silly because I've been loving reading them so much and I enjoy content about them, but it just makes me blush, I guess. I gave this 4.5 stars. Honestly, it could be a 5 stars. So in this one, we have an interior decorator. She is hired by one of her high ticket clients and his friends. They're hosting this big Christmas party at a like chalet house situation up in the mountains, and they are expecting a snowstorm, but she thinks that she'll be able to get to the nearest hotel or drive home before the snow really hits. Well, they get snowed in. She's snowed in with 4 of her very hot, god-like clients, and she is the only woman there. And they're snowed in for quite a few days. This is like a why choose holiday spicy time. So this was both filthy and funny. I think this might have been my first why choose / reverse harem, and it's definitely a trope I want to explore more. Let me know if you want a reading vlog on that, because I definitely have been accumulating a list of books to try. I love the author's choice to not describe our heroine. Her name is Samantha, but we don't know her height, her race, her hair color, her eye color, nothing, so that you can picture whoever you want or yourself as Samantha. I like that each of our heroes had very distinct personalities and appearances. The 4 of them were really easy to tell apart. I loved how this ended. So the 4 guys have been in on it for a while. They saw Samantha at a sex club in Chicago and knew that she would be kind of open to the idea. They're all attracted to her, and they love worshiping women together. They've been doing it for many years. Like I said, they're the best of friends, and they have all hired Samantha individually to do things like at their jobs or whatever. She's kind of like a freelance decorator, and she has very high ticket clients. But anyways, If you are like me and get embarrassed to say things out loud, apparently, this was just a really fun time. Mom, don't read this book. I don't know what else to say. I talk about it a little bit more in that vlog. Sam and I continued our buddy read of the Twisted series by Anna Huang. We read Twisted Games in February. I did like this more than Twisted Love. I gave it a 3.5 stars. In this one, we are following Bridget, who is the princess of Eldora, and Reese, her bodyguard. So Bridget has lived a relatively normal life. She was allowed to go to the US to pursue her studies, like go to university and stuff. And that's where she found the others in this series. I don't want to spoil anything for the first one. They are kind of companions, but they do follow a timeline. So I personally think you should read them in order. I'm losing my voice, so I gotta speed this up, I guess. The spice in this was so good. The third act breakup and on was awful, and this is a common theme with this series. Now as I'm sitting down in the middle of March, I've read Twisted Hate as well. I don't know if Anna Huang is going to be an author for me. Like, it was going so well. I love their dynamic, and obviously her being royalty, him being a bodyguard, you know that there would have to be conflict involved with that. And that is fine. It wasn't really the reason behind the breakup, but like literally how it went down that I did not like really ruined it for me. But the spicy scenes were still top tier. So if you're in it for that, I recommend it still. I then read Broken by Hannah McBride. This is the novella in the Blackwater Pack series. It's 1.5. So the Blackwater Pack is a paranormal romance involving like werewolf shifters. It's high school age, like YA, which I wasn't really expecting. And the first one, yes, they are in they're in high school, so I want to say it's YA, but the subject matter is not YA. There are some really heavy topics discussed. I really loved the first one. I gave the first one 4 stars, like really enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to continue and read the novella in between. And the novella follows Larkin and Rhodes, and you can tell that there is some tension between them in the first book, and this kind of dives in, it picks up right where the first book leaves off, and I'm sure the second book picks up where the novella leaves off, so I think it's kind of like required reading. At least that would be my guess. I haven't read the second one. This was mutual pining and angst done so well. I really enjoyed my time reading this. I'm so glad it didn't drag on too long. I next read My Money, My Way by Kimiko Love. This is a nonfiction, like budgeting book. I follow the budget mom, Kimiko Love, and have for quite a number of years. And if you have done that, you don't need to read this book. I'm reading my Goodreads review because it's been a little while and I want to make sure I get my thoughts right. I do feel that this book is a great intro to budgeting concepts, but if you follow her already, you've heard everything 100 times. Like, there is nothing new in this book. I was hoping, as she has such a large established audience, we'd be getting some new info in here, especially since it's those of us who follow her who purchased the book. And there are a couple chapters, especially in the beginning, that were super repetitive and long, and not in a way that added additional clarity to the concepts, but in a way that added more words and pages to the book, which I did not appreciate. So I gave this one 3 stars. I felt kind of harsh in that review since I do like Kimiko Love, and it is valuable information. This is what happens when influencers write books about what they already talk about, right? Like, it's just redundant and you're not really targeting a new audience. Like, I don't know how many people are going to pick up Kimiko's book in the finance section of the bookstore who don't already follow her over like a Ramsey book or something, you know what I mean? And then I read A Court of Ravens and Ruin. At this time I'm filming it, I still haven't edited my Romantasy vlog, which some of these books are for. So Court of Ravens and Ruins was the group buddy read for that readathon. It's by Eliza Rain, the first book in the Shadow Bound Queen series. I gave this 3 stars. It was a 300-page fantasy romance start to a new series, and so this was pitched as the Plated Prisoner series meets a Shadow Fae Prince from Akatar, enemies to lovers, arranged marriage. Sounds great. So I was super excited to read it, but our female main character, Reina, outwardly acts like a petulant, stubborn child. Despite her inner thoughts being smart and resourceful, she doesn't act smart and resourceful. Our male main character, the prince, withholds all useful information. We still don't really know him at all beyond Reina's visceral, uncalled for reactions to him when he's near. She hates him, but as soon as he is physically near her, she just gets this weird feeling in her body. Vor is the best part of this book. He is a witty, hilarious owl, like an animal companion that talks to her. Love that so much in books. Though this was 300 pages, it feels like half a book. The plot was just starting to get good when it ended. I would have preferred a 500 or 600 page book that felt like a complete story. Like it literally felt like the author was writing, oh, this is getting good, writing, oh, that's 300 pages, book out. Like it didn't even end in a way that made sense. It was literally in the middle of a scene, in the middle of when the plot was getting good, when we were finally like, oh, this is interesting, this is the direction this book is heading, because until now I've had no idea where we were going. Book ends. Second book's not even out yet. It had a lot of elements and ideas to be a great fantasy romance book, but it fell flat for me. I was pretty disappointed. I am still going to read the second book because I feel like it's still the same one book and I want to know how it ends. I read House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas in February. Again, a buddy read with Sam. This is chunky. I didn't even remember to bring it downstairs. This is like the one book I actually owned. I gave it 4 stars. So this is the second book in the Crescent City series. I'm sure you all know what it's about. It is an urban adult fantasy romance series with a mystery subplot. I really struggled through House of Earth and Blood. I feel like there's not enough limits to the magic system. There's too many creatures and people. And overall, I was just lost for half the book. And while I didn't feel as lost reading the second book, of course, because I knew most of the characters and all of that, it still just didn't hit with that 5-star feel. However, Sam and I were talking about it, and I think upon a reread, I might enjoy it more, but I don't know. It's just, it doesn't hit as hard as Akatar does, Throne of Glass. Like I'm obsessed with those 2 series. And Crescent City just is not my favorite. I think part of it is the setting, the urban setting. It's just very modern, very much like our world. They have cell phones, they have computers and surveillance cameras and all of that stuff that I just like my fantasies to be castles and forests and you know what I mean? So I'm having a it's not you, it's me situation with Crescent City, but we shall see. And then the last book I read in the month of February was Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. This is a YA gothic romance with some, is it called like alchemy involved as well? So it has like a bit of a magical realism twist to it, but I wouldn't call it a fantasy. I did give this 3 stars. This is another situation, same with House of Hollows. It's been YA stuff, hasn't it? Where I've gotten it from my library as an audiobook. I listened to it. I'm enjoying it just fine. It's like keeping my brain busy while I'm doing dishes and whatnot, but then it gets returned to the library and I'm like, huh, okay. But because it's as currently reading on my Goodreads, I am reminded occasionally that I should go back on the wait list for it, and then I finish the book. This has happened a couple of times, most recently House of Hollows. I think I talked about that in my January wrap up, where the books are fine. They're holding my attention while I have them. I remember everything that happened, but I have no urgency to finish the book and find out how it ended. Now, this did end on quite an exciting point, I guess. So it's a duology, and the second one is called Immortality, a love story, and I do have that one out from the library physically right now, so I hope to just knock out this duology and have it finished. I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't even say like what it was about. I'm doing so good. So we have Hazel Sinnott, who is part of a more well-off family in Edinburgh, and so her mother is trying to like marry her off, so she has a good husband and a good house and someone to take care of her and blah blah blah. It's kind of like Bridgerton but in Edinburgh in 1817. But Hazel is just so smart. She spends most of her time going through her father's study, and she reads like medical textbooks for fun, and she would love to be a doctor. She would love to be a surgeon, but she doesn't think that's going to happen. But she could be a doctor, and she'd be a really great doctor. So while her mother takes her brother off to London, she decides to disguise herself as her older dead brother and get into medical school. And she does really great until they find out that she's a girl. And anyways, she falls in love with a boy who she's not supposed to fall in love with, and it's just a lovely story. As well as gothic, it's darker. They're digging up bodies in the cemetery so that she can practice her sutures and like learning where the organs are placed and all of these things. And it was sweet. It was sweet. It was cute. I liked it. But if something doesn't hold my attention at all, like it did while I was reading it, but then if I can set it down and walk away and not finish it and not be bothered, I gave it 3 stars. Okay, this video was way longer than I wanted it to be. I had many interruptions, dead batteries, furnace kicking on, but those are the 8 books I read in the month of February. I'm already having a really great reading month in March. You'll have to let me know what your favorite book in the month of February was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!